And Travis.
Hey, hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me well?
Talk to me again.
What's that?
Okay, now I can hear you. I didn't hear you the first time.
All right.
This morning.
Hey, good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm about zoomed out.
There you go, man. It's been a good week. I've got Derrick. He's our SEO strategist, and he's going to be doing a little bit of screen share.
Sure.
Is that possible? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. You do what you need to do.
Okay, cool.
Try it out now.
All right. He's going to be joining in. He may already be in here.
Let me look. What's his name?
Derrick Wren.
Would he be as owner?
I'm on here twice, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know why you're on there twice either. Let me see where I can mute all attendees. Okay, I'm gonna let people in, so we're gonna be live.
Let me just see. Let me check on him.
Good morning.
He said he's here, but no audio. What does that mean?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't see myself anywhere. Is that normal?
Steve, you need to show your video. I just see your face. I just see a photo.
I don't have that option.
Oh, you don't have an option for video on this one.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
Hang tight. Hang tight.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Hello, is this Michelle?
No, this is Kathy Ann.
Michelle's
Hi,
here
Kathy.
though.
Kathy Ann, there you are. Okay. Welcome.
Hi. I can see you, Travis, and Roger O'Kelly, it looks like, but you're not Roger.
I'm not, I'm Amy. Roger is our IT guy that we log in under so that we can go for an hour. So just hang tight.
Okie doke.
Hello, Travis, and everybody else. Can you hear me now?
Good morning.
I can hear you. Can you do us pop your screen up just to make sure we can do this screen share?
Aha.
Does that work?
I see it. Well, it's coming on.
Excellent.
There you go.
There we go. Go ahead and put present.
Of course.
I mean the on your. Look at that.
All right, we'll give it a few minutes. See what people log in.
All right. So there's some feedback.
Yeah.
From you, buddy.
Everyone should be muted. Except Travis. And me.
Hey, Derrick, I think your computer and your phone. You're gonna have to choose one of those.
All right, just a moment.
Good morning, everyone. All right.
All right.
I'm it just 1 minute after, so we'll give it one more minute. So I'm still getting feedback from someone.
Hey, Derrick.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you've got two mics going, bud. You're gonna have to get rid of one of them.
I'm muted on the screen share, so that can't be the case.
Okay.
Oh, it's not him. I didn't hear it then.
Okay. Maybe it's better. Okay.
So hi, or maybe you're the one. Let me check that one out. Okay. Is that better? No, I still hear feedback. All right, we're gonna give it just 1 more minute. Take a drink of coffee. Cheers. Let me see if I can find There we go.
Hey, and if I don't know what's going on there with the echo. Are you still getting
Let me, sign back out and sign back in and see if that doesn't fix the issue.
Travis, it may be you because that was very clear, but yours was.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah, it's you.
Or you.
It's not me. I say it's not me. I don't think it's me. I do. I have you in here twice, Travis.
Okay, hang on just a minute. I think I'm in here twice because Derrick's one of those. All right, I'm going to sign out and then sign back in.
No. Wait a minute. Did you hear any feedback just then? Yeah, I still heard it. Okay, sign out, Travis, really quickly.
Well, I'm hearing it from you.
I'm hearing it from you. Huh.
Everybody else is hearing it from us.
Actually, I have you in here 3 times.
Okay.
Now, is there feedback? Yeah, there is. Can you stop the screen share for a minute? Please. Thank you. Yeah, let me see if that'll help. All right, let's put Travis back in there.
All right. How's it going?
Oh, it's slow.
I've got a name.
Everyone hang in there. Oh, thank you, Ryan. Mary Jane Squire.
Yes.
Aha. Would you please mute yourself?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that help the issue? No. Are you muted, Mary?
Did it work?
No, ma'am. Try again. The bottom left. Travis, give me something. Hey, that was it. That's it. Can you hear me, Travis? Ryan Appleton wins the prize today. Thank you, Ryan. Travis, can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's it.
All
We
right.
got it.
Great.
Okay, you guys are awesome.
Okay.
Problem solving number one.
That
Okay,
sounds
I'm
great.
gonna say good morning. My name is Amy Jackson. I work for the Asheville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all so much for being here for our Smart Series. We do this once a month throughout the year, and this one is a special edition through Small Business Week. We are saluting small businesses this week. Our presenting sponsor for small business is Wells Fargo Bank. We are super thankful for them. They are doing wonderful things in the community throughout all of this pandemic and helping businesses get back up to speed. We also want to thank First Citizens Bank. They are our presenting sponsor for the Smart Series throughout the year. Chad Whittemore is the representative. He should be on soon, and we'll give him an opportunity to talk. But I do want to say thank you to Travis Cole from Integrative. He's going to lead us through a bit of SEO for small business. So Travis, I'm going to let you take the floor. If you have any questions, wait, before you do that, I'm sorry. To everyone out there, when you have a question, please put it in the chat box. We will take questions. You can put them in as you go, and then at the end, we'll look at all of them and have Travis read them and give us some feedback. Okay, great. Go ahead, Travis. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks. Thanks everybody for being here. I know this is kind of a crazy time. I think, it affects everybody in a lot of different ways. And we're here to help. So we want to give you guys kind of an SEO 101, a little bit of a course. And then we also want to talk about just some things that you can do personally to help your business grow. And I think at Integrative, our mission is to help businesses grow. And so what we do is we try to work with them kind of in kind of 5 steps. So this will be the kind of last time you'll hear this from me, but we kind of work with them to build a strategy and then a pipeline, work on their website, have some marketing automation, and then continuously improve that process. So that's kind of where we are. We're going to be talking about SEO this morning. So SEO, if you looked at digital marketing, there's kind of 4 main kind of pillars to digital marketing. Organic SEO is what we're going to be talking about today. There's also PPC or pay-per-click, and you can do that through Google. You can do that through social media. You can do that through Amazon. There's a lot of different ways where you're doing paid advertisement. And then there's also social media. There's a whole lot of things you can do there for branding, or you can do a PPC and social media. And then the 4th pillar is email marketing. And so email marketing there's all kinds of different levels of email marketing. You can do drip campaigns, you can do nurture campaigns, you can do all kinds of stuff. So it's not just, hey, here's an email and this is what's going to go out and that sort of thing. SEO, we're going to be talking about mostly organic SEO, and why it's so valuable for local small business is that you are actually building something that has much worth. It has worth. So you're building up your path up through Google search engines and other search engines if you use those sort of things. But and so why this is so valuable is that you are actually building something that will have staying power, and it will increase the value of your company. So if you, for an example, if you're working on a company and at one point in time, you're probably going to maybe try to scale it and sell it at some point in time, it's going to have a much higher value if your organic ranking is in the top 3 of page 1 for a high traffic search that works within your industry. So we're going to be walking through those steps. Now there's 2 things that I want to say. And then Derrick is going to be a little bit of play-by-play. I'm going to be a little bit of color commentating. So I know there's no sports going on right now, but you're going to get SEO sports day to day. So 2 things. One, would love to distribute this presentation to you guys, to everybody. If you want to just drop us an email or just go by our site, integrative.com, and just put it in there. Hey, send me over that that presentation, then we can do that. The second thing is next week, during the same time period, 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, we're going to do the 30-minute website makeover. So we thought this was a really great idea, and a lot of this depends on your website. So I'm going to take that. We're going to do 30 minutes each day, and it's probably going to be more like 20 minutes and then 10 minutes for you to ask questions. And if you want to go through, we're going to build up your homepage to convert. So we're going to be talking about the different elements of your homepage that will, in each page, but especially your homepage, to make it convert. We get so many clients that come in and they're like, hey, this is our website. We need some marketing. And I'm like, well, hang on just 1 minute. If we put people to your site, there's no call to action. There's no flow. We're not talking about the content's not so great. So we're going to I want to walk you through that. And it's free. And so hopefully you guys can take advantage of that. Hey, so I'm going to turn the screen share over to Derrick, and Derrick has, he's our SEO strategist. And so he knows, he has many years of this. I'm going to jump in probably a little bit, but he's going to really kind of walk you through what this is. And so there you go. Take it away, Derrick.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Derrick Wren. I'm the SEO strategist and digital marketing specialist for Integrative. My passion is helping business owners to, with their marketing needs and just to increase their search engine visibility and bringing in the kind of lead funnel that they're looking for to help improve the quality of their business. So today we're going to be focusing on some SEO strategies that you can implement that are reasonably quick to do and are things that a small business owner could likely do themselves without having to have a massive team in place to help them out with that. So we'll go ahead and dive in on this. You can essentially, and I'll give it a second for this to load, you can essentially break SEO down into two categories or buckets. You have your on-page SEO and you have your off-page SEO. On-page SEO is exactly what it sounds like. It's any edits or information or anything you may be adding or doing to your website. Whereas off-page SEO, which we'll touch on later, is another element of this that generally involves doing things like link outreach to bloggers or influencers or what have you. Now, that being said, we're going to go ahead and get in on some of this on-page SEO and the things you can do to your website sort of immediately to see some results. As you'll see here, we have 5 basic categories, and I'll let this load. You have the keywords, which are essentially just searches that people are going to do within your industry that you're wanting to rank for. You have meta tags, which I'll explain in a little bit more depth, but these are places on your website that you can essentially use these keywords. You have page load speed. The significance of this is Google is using what's called mobile first indexing now, and it's just a fancy way of saying that the quicker your page loads, the higher priority and the higher ranking Google is likely to give to that website. We're going to touch on blogging. This is another place you can use some of these keywords at, and we're going to explain how you can kind of conduct your own keyword research. And then finally, we'll move into what's called conversion rate optimization, which is essentially just sort of speccing your web page so that when someone does land on your website, you can try to get them to undertake the action. Oh, sorry, I just saw a question there from Michelle. Yes, we will be able to send this out in an email.
Mhm.
But for the conversion rate optimization, that's essentially just speccing your website so that if someone were to land on your page, they'll undertake the conversion action that you just desire them to, such as contacting you or downloading a particular form or giving them their email address, any number of actions. And we'll touch on kind of some of the best practices for that in just a moment. So to begin, we'll go into keywords here and what these are exactly. These are essentially just terms and phrases that a search engine user might type into the the Google search bar or Bing or Yahoo or what have you, with Google being arguably the most important as they have the market share for almost all search engine volume. No matter what industry you're in, the desire is always going to be to show up in a prominent position for relevant keywords within your industry. So if you sell patio furniture and you're, say, a local business here in the Asheville area that sells patio furniture, you would want to show up, say, not only front page, but in the top 3 positions for Asheville, North Carolina patio furniture. In order to do that, there's a couple different methods that we're going to touch on in just a second. But to begin with, it would be kind of vital to use these not only in the meta tags, which I'll explain shortly, but also just in your web page's body copy. Kind of throughout, you want to reiterate what your services are and use these keywords. Now, you're likely wondering, okay, well, how do I find these terms and phrases that a potential lead or site user would be typing into Google? And we've included a free Chrome extension here, and that'll be in the resources along with some instructions for the installation that will cover how you can kind of conduct this keyword research. Essentially, you can type in any number of services that your company might provide, and it'll show you how many people in a month might be searching for that. And then you can take those keywords and use them throughout your page, as we'll show you in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into the meta tags.
And what I'll say about keywords are, there's 2 main things that you need to look for. One, keywords that are relevant to you. Obviously, the biggest thing is the search. So we have a lot of clients that'll come in, and they sell beach towels. Okay, so they're like, hey, we're on page 1 for beach towels or whatever. And when we look at that, now that's probably a bad example, but they're on page 1 for low volume terms. So just making sure that your keyword terms match up with what people are searching for. And that's something that could change every, it's a slow change, but if you haven't researched that, within the last 6 months, 9 months, it might be good to go ahead and do some of that research. And so just make sure that the keywords are relevant to you, and then 2, that there's a high volume to that, that you're not just on page 1 for a low volume key term, and so the thing that Derrick's going to send over is going to be key to that. And just any of these things, just let us know. We can help you out on that.
That's an excellent point, Travis. Thank you. To transition into some of the meta tags here, these are essentially text snippets, phrases and terms that you would use on your website that give a description of your content and services, not only to your site users, but arguably more importantly, to search engines like Google. It's a good place to use relevant keywords. So if you're selling beach towels, or if you're selling, say you're an electrician, so if you have a service, it's just as well, it's just as relevant. You would want to use these keywords throughout these meta tags. The one thing that you'll notice here is it says with the exception of alt text. We'll touch on that in just a moment, but essentially that is an image description that's used for the visually impaired. And there are some issues with keyword stuffing, and we'll explain some best practice to avoid running into trouble with Google. But your 4 major meta tags are your title tag, your meta description, your H1 tags, and your alt text. These are all great places that you can use relevant keywords that you've conducted research for. And we're going to break down just how you should do those and some best practices and what those are exactly in the following slides. So we'll start with title tags here. These are essentially just what they sound like. It's the title of a page that will display on a Google search result. As a result of this, you should try to keep your title tags between 50 to 60 characters. Once you get in that 60 character plus range, your title tag will likely cut off and it won't display properly in a Google search result. The general rule of thumb for best practice is to go in and use 1 to 2 keywords that describe the page in the title tag as well as your business name. So we have a client of ours here, and you'll see their title tag is Upstream Way, Asheville Vacation Rentals, and then dash vacation homes. This is a perfectly reasonable thing to do for a homepage. You just describe sort of the overarching service that you offer. If you're an Asheville electrician, you would say something that's kind of comparable to this of, the name of your business and then Asheville, North Carolina electrician. But this is a good place to use a title tag. Now, if it's for a blog article, the title tag should be probably the title of the blog or something that kind of describes the purpose of it. If it's a contact page, you might want to say something like, if you're an electrician, contact our team of electricians or something. It's somewhere to use those keywords, still have it feel kind of natural and not forced, but indicate to Google kind of what your services are and what you do so you'll index appropriately. and keep it between the 50 to 60 character kind of mark there so that you don't end up having your title tag cut off.
Yeah, why this is important. So Google's bots are going all over your site. And you want to make sure that this is the bone structure of your site. This is what they see. You may have gorgeous pictures and really relevant, like, hey, you've been in business longer, or you're more qualified than your competition. But Google's bots do not know that. They say, this is the recipe to set up your page so that we'll know what's going on here. This is kind of the billboards on your site. And we have a lot of folks, and they'll come in and that title tag, instead of like Upstream Way, Asheville Vacation Rentals, it'll say welcome. And so the Google's bots is like, hey, why does it say welcome? Well, maybe they're a welcome center, maybe they're whatever. And so you need to think about, in this structure, hey, how can you get to the point of what you're doing so that Google can say, oh, this is an electrician in Asheville, and they provide this service. And so it gets in a mixture of other folks that do that, and that's how your rankings, are affected.
Exactly, Travis. Thank you very much. To tie that into the next kind of section here, the meta descriptions are, you can think of the title as being the title of your essay. The meta description is kind of the introductory paragraph, so to speak. It's a description of the page it's going to display on a Google search result. So if it's your home page, you can likely just have a description of what your business is, what they do. But if it's, say, a page for contact us, you maybe would want to have an email address or a phone number, or say something that's kind of catchy, like, contact us today to let us help you with, whatever your service may or may not be. You want to keep that to between 150 or 160 characters, just like I stated earlier with the title tag. That's kind of the cutoff range before your meta description won't display completely. It's a good place to include call to action statements as well. If you have a contact page, for example, it's a great place for it, and just something that says, like, click through to learn more, or contact our team today, and a good description of your business. That's an excellent way to kind of format your meta descriptions. Next, we're going to hop into the H1 tags. Now, the title tags display on a Google search result. The H1 tags are actually used on your web page. You'll see these. The best explanation for this is if you look at any kind of blog post on a website, 9 times out of 10, the H1 tag for that particular blog post is going to be just whatever the title of the blog is. It's more opportunity to use relevant keywords for your website, and you can keep it to between 20 to 70 characters. The reason for that is there's some evidence to indicate that after about 70 characters, some of those keywords won't be crawled and they won't be kind of included in your relevant kind of keywords. But you can go in, format it as such, and use those keywords therein. Now, a good rule of thumb is to keep the H1 tag a little bit different from the title tag, just because it gives you more opportunity to use relevant keywords for your business. So if you have a page and the title tag is, say, Asheville patio furniture, you might consider making the H1 tag something like patio furniture for sale in Asheville. So that way you're kind of getting coverage for all these various permutations of a particular keyword search.
Yeah, and H1 just stands for headline 1, just to kind of go through. So the way things are broken down, just think about your 10th grade English class or whatever, is that you're going to have a title, and then you're going to have certain things going through there that Google is going to look at and say, oh, okay, the H1, that's the that's the introductory. This is what's going to come next. So it's very elementary. I know everything's abbreviated, so you may get into and be like, what the heck is this? All these letters and numbers, and what's going on here?
Yeah, there's multiple actually headers on a page. There's H1, H2, H3, all the way down. But H1 is generally the most important. It indicates to Google this is most significant, relevant aspect of this page. So it's the title of the essay, so to speak. And when your website gets crawled, it'll see those keywords in use and say, well, these must be really relevant to this particular business or this particular web page, and index you as such.
Hey,
Finally,
another thing is if you email us, we will show you. You may not even know what that is on your page, and we'll just show. We'll send we can do a quick scan and send it back to you and say, hey, this is how your site is structured, and just so you'll know. If you may already know that, but if that's something you want, just email me. I'll shoot it back over later this afternoon or tomorrow, and it'll have all that structure to it. So that'll outline all of these things.
yeah, we can pull almost all this information for you if anyone has any questions regarding that. Finally, we'll go to the alt text here. Alt text is sort of a description that screen readers use when they're on your page. It's for people that are visually impaired. The thing to remember here is that you can use descriptive language of up to 125 characters to describe these images throughout your website. Things like company logos, maybe images you had used in blogs. But what you don't want to do is try to stuff in keywords just to try to index yourself. That used to be a practice you would see a lot in SEO, and then Google kind of cracked down on it, so it's not really in use anymore. So if you're using alt text on an image on your website, you want to describe exactly what's in the image. Now, if it just so happens it's an image of, say, beach towels, patio furniture, dog collars, who knows, then you could use some relevant keywords there, but you want to avoid just sort of stuffing in keywords to try to index yourself and keep things relevant. If Google notices that, they can get a little bent out of shape, and there can be some penalties associated with that. Finally, we're going to discuss, or next, I should say, we're going to discuss page load speed here. Now, at the high level, Google has switched over recently to what they call mobile-first indexing. To explain this, as more and more people are using their smartphones to conduct Google searches, Google kind of noticed that the issue they were running into is that people that had slower loading websites were kind of frustrating smartphone users. So they switched over to this mobile-first indexing, where if your page loads really quickly, it's much more likely to rank highly. This is important because if you have a slow page load speed and you don't get a lot of organic traffic, which is traffic from search engines, that might be a fix that you can conduct that won't be very time consuming or expensive. And you'd likely have to talk to a web developer, but it's not something that would take weeks and weeks for them to fix. We've included a resource here called GT Metrics. It's completely free. It'll give you kind of a report on your site speeds. It checks it via these two metrics here called Y slow and page speed. That'll be included in the resources page at the end as well, and we can send this over via email to anybody that wants these. But these are a good way to figure out if you have any kind of SEO woes or you're trying to increase your organic rankings. This would be a good place to start, because all you have to do is increase your page load speed, and you'll likely see an associated climb in your Google rankings. Now we're going to move into blogging. As I had mentioned earlier, when you conduct some of this keyword research, this is a good place. Oh, it's taking a second to load. There it goes. This is a good place to use some of that keyword research that you've done. Essentially, you can go in, pick out a handful of keywords, 3 or 4 of them, and use them throughout that content that you're putting together as just another way to index yourself for relevant search terms. So if you're a plumber, you can go in and write a guide to some sort of plumbing project. Those kind of top 5, top 10 guides tend to index really well, and they offer a good opportunity to use kind of keyword-rich language. The thing to remember here is you don't want to go in and do keyword stuffing. So for almost all the copy that will be within a blog, you want to keep that to those keywords to less than 3% of that content. And you want to be patient. It takes a little while for a new blog, which is essentially a new page, to get kind of properly crawled and indexed by Google and start showing up for relevant keyword terms. The general rule of thumb and best practice nowadays is try to keep blogs at around 500 words or so. Make sure it's highly informative, avoid grammatical errors, add all the meta tags. This is the kind of stuff that Google is going to go in and check, and it's kind of the indicators they use that you are a producer of high-quality content and that you're offering informative content to users. If you can pull all this stuff together, you can put together a very kind of useful guide for your users or potential leads. This is the great begin to show up for a variety of different keywords, provided you've kind of conducted your keyword research. And if you're already involved in blogging already, there's a very good chance you are already showing up for keywords one way or the other You just might not know it.
Hey, so a couple of things I would say on this. There's different people on this call, and some of them love to write, some of them hate it. Find somebody that likes to write and just get these things kind of knocked out. You can get blogs written for, anywhere from $60 to $100 a month, probably, with folks that are out there. And you can give folks your keywords, the research that you're wanting to do that. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing is find out, give your audience, be a guide for them. Okay. So we always talk about our clients should be guides and, for their users. So if you are running if you're running for upstream way, we'll talk about this in just a minute, but we did people are coming there. It's an Airbnb / rental / whatever. So what are people looking for? Well, we've targeted their audience, which we found out was pretty much bachelorette parties and was a big part of their audience. So we said, hey, top 10 things to do for a bachelorette party. You may be ice cream shop, and you may say, hey, here's the top 10 top 5 new ice cream flavors for 2020. Just do list fun stuff like that's really great, and just come up with some different things and then hand that off. If you're not a writer, then don't worry about that. Don't let that paralyze you in this. Blogging at one point in time was just like, hey, this is almost like a free thought. And what we use this for is we use this as a tool in order for your blogs to get indexed, so you get more traffic and there's more fingers pointing towards your website, and Google recognizes that, and you also get these blogs indexed. And we have blogs that are indexed all over the country for all kinds of different things. Some things we utilize, some things is we don't. And we have some blogs that are 5 or 6 years old that still brings traffic every month. We watch the traffic come in, and that's their source. So from that, if you're doing this yourself, have a plan. If you're not doing this and you're like, gosh, I hate this, find somebody to do it. Give us a call. We can recommend some people to do that or whatever. But it's a really key part, and use it strategically. Don't just have it to where, oh yeah, we have this one page and it has all of this content on there. Think about seasons. We have someone that does fireplace and patio furniture. And so obviously we're going to talk about those as we lead into those seasons. And what are people looking for? It's grill season. I need a grill. If you have a grill, if you like to donate to the Cole family, I'd love to take it in. But right now I'm looking for grills. What are the best grills that are out there? What are some grilling tools? What are some recipes? What are some different things that you can utilize with that so that you're giving your users, benefits? And so that's what I would say for this.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Travis. You always want to try to have an underlying strategy or plan when you're pulling any of these blogs together to speak to things like upcoming seasons or what have you, so that way that your content strategy is very segmented and is planned out month over month. As you can see here, this is an example of a blog we wrote, and this is a good example. At the bottom here, we're currently ranking in about the first or second position, and I say first or second because I haven't checked it recently within the last day here, and I don't know if we've gone up or down, but we're currently, I believe, number 1 for this. It took about 3 months for us to show up in this position for a blog we wrote. So when I say be patient, that search term Etsy SEO 2020 is several thousand search results a month come up for that. So we're getting a good amount of site volume or traffic to our website just from one blog that we wrote for some tips on how to do SEO for the Etsy platform. Well, that took almost a quarter of a year for us to finally show up in position number 1 for that. So it's important to be patient and wait and understand that when you're doing blogging for SEO purposes, it'll take a couple weeks before Google will go in and crawl your website. It'll take another few weeks before you'll properly index for keywords. And even once you've indexed for those keywords, you might start in position 85 and you'll be all the way at the bottom for a result. But over the course of a few months, you can climb up to the top as Google decides you're more relevant. these the term crawl that I use when these kind of robots sort of look at your website, it's not something that happens all at once. Your site gets kind of reviewed and updated periodically for Google standings, and it does take time. So if you are considering writing something or you are considering hiring a blogger, just remember it won't be an overnight thing. But as long as you kind of stay focused and stay committed, you will see results.
Yeah. And I would say this, I saw, Ryan, you got a great question there. Would you recommend having a blog if it's not regularly updated? I would say yes. Think about your blog. We always do like a content calendar, but just think about this. Are you going to do 12 a year, 6 a year, 4 a year? Let's say you're like, man, I'm only going to do like 4 of these in the next 12 months. Okay, well, make those very strategic and make them something that that you can really utilize with your audience, and specifically something that's going to get some traction. I'll give you an example. We did one that was digital marketing, the top 10 digital marketing for 2020. And so we did that in January, and then we produced it in January, and then we syndicated it. We have a network of syndication where we're putting it in different media streams kind of throughout the country, and that got traction for 3 months. And so people are looking for that content, and we can help you with that to get that syndicated out. But it's also, if you are an electrician and you are saying like, hey, this is the way to wire a patio, and here's 5-6 steps, and it does not have to be this, it doesn't have to be the War and Peace. It can be just, hey, do this thing, then this thing, and then this thing. And some of our some bloggers, if you just talk about it, they'll write it out too. And that's something that we have somebody that's in-house for us that does that. And I will just talk about it, and they'll kind of put it down. I'm like, okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. So that's okay. You definitely want to have it, especially if there's no new content on your site. Make sure your blog is your new content. If your website just stays stale, then it will start falling in rankings because there's nothing new about it. So just make sure that you have some sort of plan for that. And even if you're just putting, if you're just putting 4 out a year, just think through those 4, and even ask your audience, what are people looking for? What are they thinking? What's the question I always get? We have a help desk, and one of our blogs is the 5 questions we always get at help desk. And put that blog in the form of a question, because people, when they search, they're searching in question form. And I think a lot of times people, when they're doing websites, they're doing it in statement forms. But do your blogs in questions. What's the best? And it might not even, if your subject matter is just like, if you work at a business that's just terrible, do something that's somewhat related to it. So that would be my answer to that. Sorry, it's a little long-winded.
Yeah, and to your point, Travis, if you're not kind of frequently updating or producing content, one strategy you could kind of utilize is putting out an article that is highly informative, and then when you do have time to put this content together, let's say it's once every 6 months or even once a year, if you have a guide that you put out in 2019, you can make an update at the beginning of 2020 to include kind of the latest and greatest for that. And that's essentially fresh content, but you don't have to go in and write a whole new article. You're just kind of implementing new and more kind of cutting edge or sort of recent information. And it's definitely a good time saver and a good tactic. And as long as you include those updates and everything, Google will see that you've kind of recently put out content, and will be more than happy to index you for when those searches go from, keyword or service or product 2019 to keyword, service, or product 2020. So, people are searching for best patio furniture 2019 or best patio furniture 2020. To kind of go into this final section here for on-page SEO, we've got what's called conversion rate optimization. This is essentially just trying to increase the amount of conversion that you see on a website by optimizing your various pages, which is to say, if someone comes and they're a user on your website, you're trying to do everything that you can to get them to contact you or download a particular file or whatever action it is that would best benefit your company. There's a couple of different ways to do this. The first thing to do is identify the action you want your site visitors to take. Add buttons featuring call to action statements throughout your website on almost all the pages that reflect that particular action. And then you even consider using things like a simple pop-up in your footer. You don't want to go too aggressive with it, but just something that will kind of funnel people to those particular actions so that they can become leads and bring in, sales for you. You can furthermore kind of A/B test your website to get data on what's working and what isn't as you're kind of setting up this conversion rate optimization. And things like Google Analytics are another kind of great way to get some, good insights into how this A/B testing might be working, what kind of actions people are taking on your website, places they're visiting, your most popular pages, and then go from there to set up a kind of funnel to get those kind of conversions that you're looking for.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing that we face with websites is really poor call to action. And I think that's the big thing where we say, who's your user? And we go through this with our clients, but we say, who's your user? What do you want them to do when they go to your site? And a lot of folks are like, well, I just want a site that gives some information out there. Man, don't think of it like this is not like a sign at a rest area that tells, where you are on the state of North Carolina. This is like, what do you want them to do? Make it an experience. Is there a call to action? And what is that call to action? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to pick up the phone? Give them a chance to do that multiple times. So I think using all of these tools, your website should be your number one salesperson. It should be loaded up with call to action and responses. It should be talking. The people should be interacting. It should be like a county fair where you're going through and you're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of seeing how this goes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Travis.
Yep.
To round it off into our kind of final section here, we're going to jump into off-page SEO. This is pretty simple and very easy to explain. Off-page SEO and link building are, by rights, the same thing. It's getting a website to provide a backlink or a link to your website. So you would want to find, say, a relevant blogger, contact them and say, hey, I have this piece of content. I'll give it to you for free in exchange for a link from your website to mine. Now, the significance of this is that every link that you can bring in to your website is essentially a vote for your website. The more votes that you get, the higher you will rank on a Google search. So you could have the best website in the world. You can have the best blog content in the world. You can go in and use all the keywords that you want. But if you can bring in backlinks, that is a great way to raise your rankings for your services. You can go in and identify particular pages and get links for those. But the more kind of backlinks you have, the higher you will rank on Google. And that's across the board. Almost everybody that works in the SEO industry will indicate it's probably the single most significant ranking factor that there is. So we're going to kind of break this down for you a little bit. Like I just said, link building is kind of the backbone of off-page SEO. They're interchangeable, and for all intents and purposes, they're the same thing. The more of these that you can bring in, the better you're going to rank. Now, if you're a small business, if you're kind of just only in the Asheville area or only in another town, you don't have to have as many backlinks as if you're someone who's national level and you're competing against a major industry player, right? If you're a hardware store and you're trying to compete against Lowe's and Home Depot, that's going to be a very aggressive link building campaign and just a very aggressive marketing campaign. Versus if you're just, say, a local plumber and you're just trying to rank for a couple keywords inside of your service area of, hey, I provide plumbing services in, Asheville, Weaverville, what have you.
Okay. So this is kind of how this works from just a illustration. Let's say you're a ninth grader and you show up at a high school. And I went to North Buncombe High School, so I grew up here. And I walk in as a ninth grader, and the captain of the football team or the captain of the debate team or the whatever comes up, puts their arm around me, or the captain of the cheerleaders or whatever, and said, hey, this guy's really awesome. All the people that are around me are like, oh, wow, this guy, I just got links. That just got people pointing to me saying, hey, this guy's really cool. Listen to what he has to say. and this is such an 80s movie that I'm talking about here. Let's say if the wrong person came up and was like, hey, this is really great. You'd be like, oh, thanks. But I don't really need that arm around my shoulder. So link building is people pointing to your site. And what Google looks at is they say, hey, great recommendations to your site means a lot. And Derrick's going to talk about domain authority, but basically it's like your credit score for your website. And the more the higher domain authority that you have, the higher you're going to raise up in these rankings. And so the main thing, if you had an SEO campaign, we may focus the first month or two on page, and there's some stuff that we're going to be doing on and on. But then you're going to get into this, and this is really like your bread and butter. And we have a lot of folks that'll come to us, and they're a lawyer, and they'll say, does this other law firm is ranking higher than ours? Do they not know we have this credibility, and we've done this, and are we going to this school? And I'm like, Google knows nothing about that, does not care about that, does not care about what degrees or that you have better doctors at your space. What they care about is the only thing they can see is who's pointing to your site saying, trust these people are great. And this is really tough to do necessarily on your own a little bit, but this is something that an agency like ours can help, or something else. Super important stuff, but that's kind of how, in a kind of a nutshell, that's how that works.
Absolutely. Thank you, Travis. We're going to hop into one of the most common sort of link building strategies that we see people using across the board throughout kind of the SEO industry is guest posting. If you like to write, you like to put together blogs, this is a great way to get some backlinks. You just kind of find blogs within your industry that are relevant to you. You can just conduct a Google search, and you reach out to them and say, hey, I'll give you a free blog or a free article in exchange for that article having a backlink to my website within it. Now, the thing to remember about this is that's a very simple and oftentimes very effective strategy, but it's also very time consuming. You kind of have to take a shotgun approach with it, reach out to as many people as you can. It's kind of like doing a cold call, right? You're not going to get necessarily a 100% response rate, but the more of these links you bring in, the higher you're going to rank, the more your domain authority will go up, like Travis had mentioned there. Domain authority is essentially just a metric that determines how many links you have pointing at your website. And like you said, it's kind of the credit score of your website. The more you increase that, the higher you're going to rank. This is, a very straightforward kind of method. It's definitely good for someone if you're newer to link building. It's less complex than some of the other methods we use. So this is kind of a good one to hop in on. But if you do decide, oh, this isn't good for me, or I don't do a lot of content, feel free to reach out to us. We can come up with a strategy for you to get you some high quality links that'll help with your your SEO efforts. Another one you can do is just kind of syndication. We work with a couple folks where they're putting out some pretty informative kind of high quality content, and we've been able to syndicate that through some industry relevant keywords. Just simply by reaching out to some publications within those industries and getting them those kinds of vital backlinks. If you're putting out really high quality sort of stuff, this is a great direction to go. You can just take that sort of content and not necessarily reuse it, but get some use and utility out of it by capturing backlinks for yourself and bring some traffic into your website.
So this is how Yahoo works. So if you ever go on Yahoo, it's a bunch of articles that Yahoo did not write, but it goes to other things. So if there's, going back to your blog and using this thing, if you can go in and say, hey, here's, if you're an auto repair or whatever, and you say, hey, here's top muscle cars. If that's something that you enjoy, whatever. And I hit that all the time. The more I hit Yahoo, the more car stuff it comes up. But you can utilize this. Not only Yahoo does this, but there's all kinds of news folks that does this. I mean, if you go on Citizen Times or if you go on whatever, those staffs they're always looking for content. And if there's a way that you can pop out some good content and get those syndicated, it's really great. And then that's popping really great links back to you that's going to help you grow. Hey, Derrick, you want to jump into, I think we only have about 10 minutes left here. So, hey, let's look at a couple examples of how we've done this. So we're going to look at two examples. One is from, both of these are local companies. I just saw a question come up about like Airbnb and Booking.com and that sort of thing, and I want to address that. And we've got one of the examples to show you how that we kind of jump the hurdle on that. And then this is a company, Emblem Authority. They're located here in Asheville. They're a national company, and some SEO stuff that we've done for them. We'll have to zoom through this a little bit, Derrick.
Yeah, I'll keep this kind of short and sweet. So a few months ago, the Emblem Authority contacted us, and they wanted to partner with us for help with their kind of marketing efforts. We focused on really the backbone of this presentation, link building and blogging. We were able to rapidly index them for quite a few relevant keywords, including the search phrase patch creator. They're a manufacturer of patches for police departments, fire departments, what have you. That averages 1,300 searches in a month, and as of earlier today, they are in position number 3 and have been there for a couple months now. We spoke with our point of contact over there, and they had indicated that one of the things was the work we have done with them for SEO has helped to lessen the impact of COVID-19, and they're not really sure where they would have been without some of this. So within about 3 months of working with them, doing this link building, we were able to take them from not showing up on hardly any kind of relevant keywords that weren't branded to them. You know, people were doing searches for the Emblem Authority, they would show up. But we were able to get them in position 3 for the term patch creator and bring them in, several hundred clicks a month just off of this one keyword. And we've been able to kind of keep them in that position by continuously doing link building with them. And that's kind of the benefit of link building. That's the benefit of blogging. You go in, you create this content, and then you consistently get links pointed at this content to raise your rankings. Now, we also had a client called Upstream Way. We were doing some stuff with them for as well. They were able to create some content that we had worked with them on that spoke to some Asheville bachelorette stuff. That was kind of, me and Travis worked with them to determine some great keywords, and we were able to find out that a lot of the people that were staying at their properties were people that were at bachelorette parties. They were on the front page for Asheville bachelorette parties, and with a guide they had created that we had kind of recommended to them. But they haven't been able to do link building as much regularly, so they've gone from being front page to back to the second page. But that's a case in point. You want to kind of consistently build links, point them at your website so you can be in this top position for this 1,300 a month search, so to speak, rather than being second page, and you're going to see a very steep decline in the amount of traffic you'll get there.
Yeah, so a couple of things on this. So Emblem Authority, we went through and did a keyword research for them, and they were doing some stuff with some of the keywords, but Patch Creator is something that they weren't working with at all, and we were like, okay, let's direct 1,300 searches a month for that, and so we plan an aggressive plan for that. Now, what do we do after we get them in the top 3? Well, there's other terms we may focus our attention to and try to get another term that may have 1,000 folks or 2,000 folks or 300 folks or whatever. And so it's just an ongoing process. It's kind of like dieting. You get to your key term. Okay, now what are we going to do? Well, I can pick up exercise. I've done eating. I need to do some other things. And so, and with, from your question, from one of the panelists, it says Google results for our relevant keywords are monopolized by a huge third party. And we get that a lot. So what we did for them, they are acting as an Airbnb. And one of the things that with Airbnb is the cost of Airbnb. And so some things that we did is build them a website and try to get those bookings on that website. So it's not, you're not having to pay those steep fines or for Airbnb. And so what we did though is we think about Asheville in terms of what is the audience that's going to come in there. So maybe your Airbnb, this one was it's a large group place. So it's 12, 13, 15, 16 people. So we start looking at audiences. So bachelor party, bachelorette party, weddings, colleges, different things that you can look at and say, okay, how can we focus on that specific thing? Let's say you have an Airbnb and you're right downtown. And it may be only a couple, maybe just one bedroom, whatever. Then what are some things? Can you be the guide that says, okay, we're going to put out some material like, hey, we have this, and it's not coming now, but let's say there was this big barbecue festival that's coming. Well, we'll get on that and say, hey, these are some things for the barbecue festival that people are going to be looking for, or Chow Chow, or the Southern Conference basketball tournament. Like, put that in there, what to do during the 2020 Southern basketball. And so think about some other ways to get around that. And that's some cool things you can do. Hey, real quick, I just want to answer a couple of these questions. How often should your website be updated? I think it should be refreshed probably every 18 months. So a refresh is just kind of at least, we do it about once a year on ours, but a refresh is not rebuild. You don't have to go in and do that. But a refresh is just, let's change the look of the feel, more of in a design part. A website, we build our websites on WordPress. They're very scalable. You should not have to go through this process every couple of years. You should have something that scales, that's really strong, and then you do a continuous improvement. So every year you kind of look at it and say, how can we tweak? How can we tweak? What you don't want to do is you don't want to set it and forget it. You know, that works in like an infomercial, but it doesn't work with your website. And so you're going to go through and you're going to want to tweak it. You want to change the way that you're focused on. Another big thing with your website is that you want to make sure you are the guide. We always talk about being the Alfred to your user is the Batman. And you want to provide for them the right clarity and messaging that you're there to meet their needs. And so we've done a lot of stuff for art galleries and for local artists. And one really cool thing we're doing, obviously right now, is doing e-commerce and making sure that there's a way to get that out. And I think that's been huge because a lot of folks come to Asheville and they want something about Asheville. There's so many folks that come here. And so they go back on and be able to get some of that is really, really cool. Hey, I know we're winding down. We've got 60 seconds. So this is my 60-second plug on this. We want to send you this. If you can email me, it's traviscole@integrative.com. We'll send you this over. And also next week, Monday through Friday, so 5 days, we're going to go at 10 o'clock to 10:30, and we're going to do a 30-minute website makeover. And that 30-minute website makeover, we're going to actually go through a homepage, and we're going to show you, after you go through this, you should be able to look at your website and say, okay, this is what my header should say. This is my my one-liner. This is where I should put this. This is where I should talk about the stakes. What's at stake here if they go with if they don't go with me, what's the benefits and that sort of thing. So I'll type my email address again into the notes here. And we do provide website service. And I don't mind going through anyone who's participating in this. If you email me over and say, hey, can you take a look at this, or can you give us some tips on this? I don't mind doing that. So I don't mind just kind of setting up a little strategy session where we can just kind of look at your specifically, go through some things and say, hey, here's a couple of things that you can do to help. And so we want to be here for you. We've got, we really care about you guys. And, if it's something that we can help you to do and set you up to do that, then that's great. If it's something that you need us for long-term, that's great too. But we want to be there for you guys because you guys are there for us. And so anything we can do would be great.
Great. Travis, thank you. Such good information. You all listening out there, take advantage of this. Travis has offered to give you some free advice, particularly now how to get moving more effectively on e-commerce, do it. Take advantage of it. Thank you again to Wells Fargo. We're so appreciative. AB Tech, UNC Asheville. Thank you for sponsoring Small Business Week. And Travis, if we can do anything for you, you let us know as well. All of you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you this afternoon at Business After Hours. We will log on again at 4 o'clock. We will toast each other and have a little networking fun. There'll be some business, but some fun as well. So I hope to see all of you then at 4 o'clock here on the Chamber website. Thank you. Thanks, Travis.